Welcome back to another edition of the B4evaKool podcast. My name is Rex.
My name is TJ with Two Wheels and Coffee.
What's going on, man? How's everything?
And we couple days, a couple more weeks and we're back to racing. I just can't wait to get back on a bike
Right.
physically. Living in the Northeast, but I've been doing well. Just trying to stay warm. It's pretty cold here, so you know
Yeah, I've been
that's
trying
about it.
to follow the weather a little bit because I have to, but it does seem like it's a little crazy up there as far
Yeah,
as
I had a
weather.
few issues, car issues with got hit, so going through a little transition. So it's a little setback, but that's about it.
Yeah, man, you told me about that off here, and that's pretty crazy. I know what that's like to, have bad things happen to our vehicles, and it's not our fault. So I mean that it's never a good feeling.
But yeah, how about yourself? How's everything going over there? Or down there, I should say.
I can't complain, man. We'll get into that more into the show. I was down in Miami this past weekend racing, but we'll talk about that a little bit later on. So as far as probably a couple of weeks, maybe 3 weeks or so since we did the last show. Still a little bit crazy getting settled in and stuff like that, but it's nice to get back out. It's nice to get on the bikes again, and a little bit crazy. So, but let's get into MotoGP and World SuperBike, and then we'll come back to the stateside in a little bit. A lot's been happening,
Lots been
right?
going on. Oh yeah, lots been going on. Some rule changes on World Superbike still going on, or it's officially out, and we had the MotoGP test, winter test. So there's a lot have been going on, and we're getting ready for the season to start pretty soon.
Yeah, so let's talk about the. I guess what is the latest? I know we saw the World Superbike riders doing some tests, and also the MotoGP guys coming together and doing some tests as well in Portimao, which is it's pretty cool to see. Because I think in past years you would see maybe some people go to Rossi's Ranch or something like that, but usually you don't see a collective of folks on both championships coming together and riding. So that was pretty cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they have some private tests they can take part of. So, but it's cool to see that the mix up. It's just not just MotoGP riders or um, yeah, just a mix up with both classes.
Right, right. Yeah, and as far as fans like that, to see that Top Rock and Marquez brothers, chopping it up. See Valentino Rossi out there still, he's still riding with the best of them. Unfortunate for Morbidelli because it looks like Morbidelli went down in a bad crash, and seems like the Marquez brothers were the first one on the scene to kind of be there until the ambulance and stuff came. I guess that's unfortunate because I'm a fan of Morbidelli, and it's unfortunate that he has this opportunity to once again be show that he belongs and is one of the top riders in MotoGP, and to see this happen at the beginning of the season. I don't want to say it's like John Morant, going down and being out for the rest of the season or anything like that, but I do hope that Morbidelli does come back, and he will come back, but be ready at the start of the season is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it's never good for like you don't want to be shooken up like that right before your season starts, especially when he's on like a new chapter. He's on a new mission, new bike, and obviously he's trying to learn everything and get everything correct. But quarter mile that track's like a roller coaster.
It
I
is.
mean, just watching it and even playing it on the video games, that track's like a roller coaster. So from what I understand, it was like turn nine, which is like a big downhill. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure you can wheelie down the hill, but I'm not sure how he lost control. Another thing is on private tests. I don't know like what's available as far as like ambulance and safety as far as like a regular scheduled event. So I don't know. Obviously, it was good to see the Marquez brothers uh, jump by his side right away to make sure he was okay. Because like we usually see the corner marshals and then they bring the ambulance or whatever. But just not sure like when during a private test, like how many ambulances are available at the time.
You're right. Yeah, that's something I'm not sure of as well. From what the Marquez brothers said, it looked like it took about maybe 2 to 3 minutes. Which if you
Okay.
if you're messed up, that is a very long time to be waiting. But it does seem like it's quicker. My accident, it probably took a little bit longer than 3 minutes for them to come to get me. But again, that was on the streets, a little different. So I don't. Usually there's a few stateside. There's usually a few ambulances. So I gotta assume it's kind of the same thing with the private test, especially those caliber of riders. They gotta assume that there's just a couple of ambulances out there, if not one. But I gotta assume there's at least two.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there's at least two, but it was good to see. I mean, I heard he was unconscious, and it's good to hear that he's doing well. I guess he went back for like a extra checkup to make sure
Right.
everything's okay.
And it
Yeah,
sounds like he's skipping this pang test coming up. I think beginning of next week is when it's supposed to start. So
yeah, I
it seems,
believe so.
so it sounds like he's skipping that. So which is again, it's unfortunate, especially changing manufacturers. It's never easy to do. Some people make it look easy. The Alex Renz, the Vinales that's been able to get on the podium on different manufacturers. But it's not that easy sometimes. So and it's a disadvantage. I've been rooting for him since he announced that he was going to Permac. So I'm hoping he's the dark horse or something like that to come out of the Ducati camp because he really needs some light.
I mean, unfortunately, when this did happen, obviously felt bad for him and had my condolences for him. But I did think of you because I know how much you root for him. So I want a fair chance this year against you.
Yeah, man. Look, man. I didn't want to believe it at first. I thought it was something. I still don't know exactly what it is. But skipping a test, it definitely is something serious. So I don't think these riders are going to, skip a chance to ride if they were able to.
Yeah. How about Pedro Acosta? And he's looking good. Seemed like he had one of the fastest times out there.
As far as
Um,
where is this Portimao you're talking about, or?
oh well, yeah, not Portimao. I think they were at Sepang, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't know if that happened yet as of this recording. I don't know if Sepang has happened or it's coming up.
Let's
So,
see. I believe they did some sort of test a few days ago, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
right, yeah. So that's the thing. That's why I'm unsure about. So I guess we should figure that out if it is Sepang, because if it hasn't happened yet, then it's something else. If it's going on this week, I could be a week behind. Who knows? But as far as I could tell, it seems like they had some unveiling of the new bikes for the season, as far as delivery and stuff like that. But like I said, I don't know if that Sepang test has happened yet.
Yeah. So for as far as MotoGP, also, um, they did lose a track this year, so they're not participating in Argentina.
No,
So
don't
that's
say that.
2024 Argentina has been canceled.
Did they say
So
why?
I can see. Let me see. It says due to circumstances in Argentina. I guess says the promoter of the event has can't guarantee the services required for the Grand Prix. But as far as Argentina has been canceled and it has not been replaced by another track. So I'm not sure how many races they had this year, but that's one we're scratching off the calendar.
That is
That's a
unfortunate.
fun track too.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite tracks to ride to play on the video game. I haven't gotten there yet to ride. So and the Aprilia do well. I can like from a video game. It's it's a fun track. So again, it's one of my favorite tracks to play the game on. So that's disappointing. Obviously, riders' safety is more important. Everyone's safety is more important than an event. So I get it. I'm pretty sure they're probably going to work to add something else if they can, because those guys want to make money. So
Right?
go ahead.
No, I was just agreeing, saying they want to make some money. That's,
Gotcha. Yeah, so I guess I might be a week off because it seems like the Japan test has already happened. Well, I was away 3 days ago, so 3 days ago. So yeah. So I guess yeah, that's already happened, and it looks like he was fastest. I don't know if it's day three or one of those days, but we'll see. It's hard. It's hard to say if for some, for the senior riders, for the more experienced riders, the winter test is not being the fastest is not as important as getting parts right and being comfortable on the bike and stuff like that.
my main thing is, you know, I didn't really have doubts for him moving up to GP, and it's just good to see him when he actually finally got a test under his belt, and to see that he's within the time of everyone. So it was just good to see. I mean, obviously, everyone's out there for a different reason. I mean, I've seen someone had a winglet on the front of the tire. There
Hmm.
was like extra wings on the side with different manufacturers. So they're testing so many things out there right now.
Yeah, was that KTM?
Time sure doesn't matter, but just to see Acosta up there to speed looks really good, really good.
So it sounds like you're rooting for Acosta.
I mean, I wasn't. I mean, I can't. I'm rooting for everybody, but
Okay. Ah,
I
yeah.
wasn't rooting for him to speed up to MotoGP because I didn't think he would be a contender right away. But it's good to see him within the time because we've seen some riders move up and they're like a second off or such. Um,
Right, right. Yeah, I don't. It's still too soon to tell. I mean, I think we'll
yeah,
have a.
it's way too soon.
I think we'll have a better idea at the first race, or even race of practice. Or I say race of practice, but what is it? FP1.
FP,
Oh, what they
they
call it? I
call it
think.
practice.
Yeah, yeah, it's practice. I got local riding on my brain, local club riding on my brain. So yeah, so I again, who knows? We'll see. Because I don't want to sit here and be one of those folks that try to predict what he's going to do, and not to say that he's listening to me, and I'm going to be the straw that put the pressure on his back or anything like that. But young people coming out and in whatever sport, give them a chance to grow and to become who they become. I think when you have a lot of folks that are trying to put titles on someone else's shoulders, it makes it very difficult. Not saying that you are or anyone is doing that, but I tend to want to just see what he does because at the end of the day, you got Mark Marquez in there, you got Pecco, you got all these riders that are sitting that they're not going to just move out the way for him.
Well, I already know he might as well just take this year as a learning year because Pecco, Jorge Martin, and Mark Marquez, they're going to be trying to fight for that championship this
Right.
year, and Mark Marquez is going to be the first one to try to get up there. So it's going to be a lot of heavy hitters in the front. I don't know if he wants to get involved just yet.
Exactly. Now, I will say this, and I think it seems like Danny Pedrosa is probably the fastest one on the KTM, the test rider, and
Yeah,
I say that because of what he did when he had the wild card, and just what he's been able to do as a test rider. So I think if Pedro is chatting with Danny and can pick his brain, cause not to say Miller can't help Pedro get there or Bender, but Danny Pedrosa has so much experience, and he was one of the top three guys for most of his career. You know what I'm saying? For most of his career, he was up there, and he had a lot of bad luck to why he didn't get titles. Obviously, he is a world title winner, not in the GP class, in the lower class, but luck was not on his side. So I think maybe something like that. And if Pedrosa late, because he has to understand how that bike runs over the course of the race, right? Not just lap one quick lap or two quick lap, right? Is managing that and being in the top 3 to 5, right? And finishing in the top 3 to 5. So maybe with that it's possible, but like you said, and it's going to be hard because you got Marquez who's hungry. I think Pekka is trying to stack another one. He's trying to do a three-peat, right?
Why not?
So what?
Get the best bike.
He's a big fan of, is it Nike or Jordan, one of those guys. So definitely, I think he's trying to definitely do a three-peat. So it's going to, and Bender has something to prove. Miller has something to prove. Martin, yeah,
Man,
he might get punched in the mouth before he gets
there were
one.
some contenders that just were unfortunate as well that should be in, like Bastianini and
Oliveira,
Al-
Oliveira is another one that should be there. Elish, Maverick, Renz. I think Renz was healthier. I don't want to count Joe and Mir out. What I'm saying? I don't want to count him out because he's had a lot of crashes on that Honda. I don't want to count him out, but I don't know if he has the machine underneath him to do what he needs to do. But even all those guys we list, I don't think there's no bad feelings towards Pedro, but these guys are like they're not going to just let him have it. And I think it's also different. Moto 3 and Moto 2 is a different animal than MotoGP. And I'm not trying to knock any of those Moto 2 guys saying how come they didn't stand in his way because obviously they did, but MotoGP is a different animal.
oh yeah, so yeah, with all those riders you listed, I mean that was probably 10 or more, and I mean like I said, there's they all have. I mean, as you start a season, you have goals right off the top, and you have a clean slate before race one. So hope it
Right,
all goes well. But like Alex Rins, he's coming off of a bad injury. I'm sure he just wants a solid year. Joan Mir, like you said, he just probably doesn't have the right machinery under him, especially if they don't get anything accomplished during these test runs. I
right.
just hope he just have a better season.
Yeah.
But and like I said, Pecco is just like he already got everything that he needs. It's just he just got to perform.
Yeah, I think
And
so. That's it. It's just that's all. So I will say, I have my subscription for this year. I just need to order my Raisinets and popcorn because it's going to be a good series this year. It should be right. It should be. I don't. I'm not going to say and make predictions, but it should be a good season and a lot of good races in the World Superbike and MotoGP. Obviously, even Moto. I mean, there's not too many
yeah,
series
well,
that I watch and go, oh, that wasn't good. So there might not be enough
well,
people in the stands or in the background, but these riders are laying everything on the line.
I mean, it's also another big year for MotoGP. Not only is the second year for the sprints, so it's just it's now like dialed in. And as far as the American side, the Trackhouse Racing Team is going to try and have a big year as well.
Hmm.
For their American team, and especially when they go to Coda. So hopefully that draws more fans there, and hopefully they just have a better year as a team as well.
Yeah, for sure. I've been to Coda once, and I think it's an American problem with the fan base that comes out right now. I think that and I've said this before on the show. There was a drop as far as folks coming out, like the love of motorcycle racing fell a little bit. I think in the 2000s and stuff like that. Sure, you had Colin Edwards, you had Nicky Hayden, obviously. You got I can continue on. So I'm not sitting here saying there wasn't riders that were going into MotoGP, but definitely, it was 20. I don't want to start giving dates, but there's not as many riders. There's not as many American riders in MotoGP. When you look around Motor America, and you don't see as many fans as you did once upon a time. But I
Hmm.
think that's changing. So, not think, I know it's changing. So, I think I don't know what this year is going to look like for Coda, but I think that's it's not just it's not just like MotoGP that I think that has to do that. I think it's more the culture, the motorcycle community, and folks are doing it. So I think it will
Yeah.
happen in next maybe 5 to 10 years. I don't know if it's going to get there because I think when I went in 2019, I believe it was, I think it was about 54 to 60,000 people, give or take. And I don't remember what it was. Well, we had the pandemic that happened, so there was no racing. And I think what it was 2022 and 2023 that we had racing, and I think the fan base was low in 2022 as well. So hopefully it'll come out because man, listen, if you've ever wanted to watch a MotoGP race and you're not that far from Austin, Austin is a really cool town, really fun to hang out in. So that you're definitely going to have fun there, and it's close.
Yeah, I'm just saying, there's also more of a. I mean, you can correct me. I'm not sure of going back from time, but um, for viewers who are trying to watch motorcycles, and especially if you want to see Americans race professionally, I mean, it's a good look to have American bike. I mean, before it was like,
American
you know,
Riders, you mean?
well, I mean, American team. So like you can at least say we have something over there that we can watch and look forward to instead of just as far as just a rider. It'll be good to have
Yeah,
American riders and teams. So
right,
like
right.
going forward, someone can say, "Hey, there's an American team that's in MotoGP," and I don't know, it could just just more of a something that you can view on instead of just overlooking MotoGP
Yeah, for
as
sure.
American.
It's definitely having those guys step in. I think with their Roadhouse, those guys step in
Trackhouse.
Trackhouse, and come in and do their part. Or not, I shouldn't say do their part. Be a part of MotoGP is huge. And again, like I said, that goes to show that they're trying to make it grow. And it is nice to see American-owned team. It's nice to see American riders in MotoGP. The same way, when Mark Marquez and Lorenzo and these guys were dominating in MotoGP, they were definitely we're all we love everybody, right? But as nations, we support our own people. The same, the U.S. do it, the Spaniards do it, the Italians do it. Everybody does it. So, the Spaniards has dominated MotoGP for so long. It forced Rossi to do what he did, right, to create a team to bring more Italians in. And I think the U.S. is doing the same because you saw Joe Roberts and Cam,
John Dylan Kelly.
Sean Dylan Kelly, and these guys to
Yeah.
come in and do that and have a team. And it's it's a very expensive sport. So I don't get to see their financials, so I can't tell you what it's like. But it's a
Yeah.
very expensive sport. But it is from a bragging rights perspective, it's definitely you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
It's nice when there's a U.S. team. It's nice when there are U.S. riders in at the top level and competing at the top level, not just in MotoGP, but
Exactly.
you at the you right there.
My only error in this racing is watching Bobier and Sean Dylan Kelly and Roberts. As far as American riders, I wasn't really watching or around for Nikki Hayden and the time before when it was mostly Americans instead
Colin
of
Edwards
uh,
and Ben
yeah. So,
Spies and
to see a team is pretty cool.
yeah.
So it's just another thing to look forward to. I mean, hopefully Miguel holds it down this year. He's a solid rider,
Yeah,
and
listen, man, it's luck, right?
and Fernandez though.
It's unfortunate, but it's luck because before his season. I mean, he he was up there, right? As a pro year rider. He was even as a KTM rider. Oliveira was up there, so it's very unfortunate.
Yeah, he got a podium.
Yeah, him and Bastianini, these guys that if they didn't get, I mean, we can say that about Grant Hill, we can say that about a lot of people, right? If I didn't get hurt, and
Mhm.
but yeah, it is. We'll see, and hopefully this year they have that season. But again, the top riders, the top five riders from last year, they're not going to make it easy for anyone. So I know these other guys are coming off injuries and coming off stuff, but they're not going to make it easy for them. But I'm rooting for Oliveira as well because it's just bad luck.
And before the season starts, we're gonna have to make some wild predictions. I think it'll be pretty cool.
I'll,
Like
I'll leave that
I
to
think
you.
Taka will be on the podium at least once before the season's over.
You know,
I just hope
I
some
hope
wild prediction.
I hope as well. But I think with him and the Honda, and he's probably had opportunities to probably leave Honda, and I think he's in a bad not. I think he's in a position where, like we were just talking about, nations that want their folks at the high level. I think the Japanese folks want a rider at that level, and he's the best rider that they have right now, and they want him on a Japanese bike. But I think he might have had a chance probably to go somewhere else, and he stayed loyal. Which from a little bit I understand about the culture, that's something that happens, right? And so
Yeah,
it's kind of he's taken his licks. I mean, he's gotten jacked up, he's gotten mangled, and he's going down with the ship. And so I do feel bad for him because he may spend his whole career with Honda, which is on one hand it's a very loyal thing to do, but he's at Honda when the bike is not the best bike, and he's taken licks. I don't know how many times he's
yeah,
crashed, but he's taken his licks, and you have not heard one negative sound from this guy.
exactly. So yeah,
So I'm rooting for him for next year. I've always been rooting for him because he does have the skill set, and like I said, if you know if it is what it is, not everybody can be on Ducatis.
yeah. If I want to see him on the podium at least once. I mean, first, second, or third doesn't matter.
I know.
Just
I bet he's still thinking about the time he was, he had pole and he was leading the
is it
race. Man, listen,
and
it's.
crashed out
I,
like third, four.
I will say this at the moment, I don't like leading races. So
It's
I
another
just
ball game, man.
I'd rather I'd rather wait and try to get you the last couple of laps or something like that because you don't know what's going on behind you, and you have to, you gotta be Phil Jackson, Michael Jordan, and everybody wrapped into one to not make mistakes. You still got to push at a level, and it's a lot harder. It's easier to just to follow someone behind, and you can use them for your base.
Well, that's another reason why when I started racing, um, obviously you're always chasing someone when you're starting, but when you start getting a little better, you find yourself more to the front, and I find myself exactly what you're saying, like to chase down or make my move towards the end. It's a whole nother ball game and mentality leading the race. And that's why I give my kudos to those guys in club racing, professional racing who can start a race from pole and just hold the whole time. And or
Yeah, yeah,
I just give it to those guys. That's just a whole nother challenge. And um, yeah, so like
yeah,
Pecco, if you're following Pecco, you wanna stay the whole race chasing, he might leave you. So just say it.
yeah, exactly. So no, so we'll see what happens this year, in another month or so, give or take, right? So World
Less than
Superbike
30 days,
start.
right?
Yeah, World Superbike start the end of this month, and next month is go time. So very excited for all that. I'm not ready to give the predictions yet for who's going to. I do think that I will say this: it's going to be a it's going to be a Ducati in the top four. I'll give you that much.
Oh,
Right.
that's another prediction we gotta.
That's it. That's just I don't know which ones, but it's when you got eight bikes, you got to have some really bad luck for not to have one or two or three bikes survive. So I will say, yeah, I would give. Rossi's team have Rossi's team, Carmack, and I guess Grazzini. And yeah, I will say each Each one will have one in the top four, top five. I'll go on the record saying that.
That's solid. That's
Yeah,
solid.
because I mean, Marquez is probably going to be up there. Um, Pecco is probably going to be up there, and Bastianini could be up there too. And Bezecchi's going to be up there. It's if they stay healthy,
What?
obviously, right?
Just watch out for Alex Rins. That's all I
Martin's going
gotta
to be
say.
up there as well, right? So, yeah, no, 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 no.
Alex Rins know his way.
I'm a fan of Yamaha. I have two of them. No, 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 no,
But you don't think?
no, no,
Mhm.
not yet.
Well, I mean, Honda wasn't that good, and Alex found a way to win last year. So I'm just saying, he just knows how to ride.
Honda does
And
really well
obviously, they don't.
at
I'm sure. I hope they have enough.
Honda does really well at Coda for some reason. Does it, so and
Or
but
Satchery.
yeah, exactly. A lot of left turns. Uh, but I don't see Yamaha getting there. I don't see it. I mean, you think about it. You have two bikes that have to fight through at least six Ducatis, at least three KTM's, at least two Aprilias.
I don't think they're the worst off
Who's
out of all
that?
the manufacturers.
Yamaha.
Yeah,
Well, they don't have the legs.
I just think from where Fabio was at um, in contention and letting the championship slip away, and
Right.
then have a terrible year the following year, that's bad news. But I don't think they're worst off. I
They
think
don't
like
have,
Honda has something to worry about.
they don't have the legs, and I don't know. Like I said, I don't. Like I've said in past shows, I don't know how much. Honda has a lot of money. Um, Yamaha has some money, but Honda has a lot of money. But I don't think they have the horsepower underneath them yet for that. So it you ha- no, yeah, you can turn the bike, but Ducati's shown in the last couple of years that it's okay. So what you're known for turning, right? Okay, what else you got? So you know, if they were all on R6s, I'd be like, yeah, Yamaha got that. You know what I'm saying? So, but Ducati has for the last probably 4 to 5 years now. We really hadn't really seen it until probably a couple of years ago. But they're the top as far as creativity, as far as efficiency. Um, they've been able to do that. And granted, it's only a short period of time. Yamaha has done it for a lot longer, right? Honda's done it they've dominated for a lot longer. So it's still relatively new for Ducati. So they could screw it up, sure. You know what I'm saying? They definitely could. And I think that's what's missing. You think of like, okay, so I'm not knocking Honda or Yamaha at all. But right now, you know, if they can stay, if they at the moment they have time to get a few more championships easily. I think before one of the other manufacturers step in because the innovation is still a little bit, I think, above the other manufacturers, and it seems like the other manufacturers are kind of just trying to do a different version of what Ducati's doing. And I think that's the problem when you and I've said this before when you can't when you're not innovating. And Honda is known for innovation, so and I think they have a better chance of getting it closer than the Yamaha. But we'll see. Look, I love my R6. Um, I haven't had an opportunity to ride a R1 yet, but I'm pretty sure I'd love that too. I would buy an R1 before I'd buy a CBR for sure. I'd probably buy R1 before I buy a few more 1000 bikes. So it's definitely a bike I would love to own one day, but no bikes. That's it. But MotoGP is a different level.
I'm sure Rossi is gonna call Honda and it's gonna be like, "You take care of my brother, all right?" So make
Oh
sure
well, listen,
he's.
listen. Rossi's getting his Hondas that he won the world title with. It's
Yeah,
like you
so,
you want some help? I need to get something from you guys.
so I'm not sure on this. As the year goes on, so Pecco is gonna be on the newer bike, right? So
24
his old bike.
goes
So
to
his old bike,
Marquez
the
or
old teammates get the runner up, basically.
So my understanding is Pramac and the factory Ducati is going to get the 24 bikes. Rossi's team and Grassini team is going to get the 23 bikes. Who
Mm.
gets Martin's bike and who gets Pecco's bike or Bezecchi's bike? Well, Bezecchi had a 2022 bike, so you know what I mean? And so he'll get a 2023 bike. So yeah,
Yeah,
so that'll
so
be, yeah, so those four, so between the two bikes for Pramac and the two factory bikes will go down to Rossi and Goscini's team. The question is Mark Marquez going to get Pecco's bike or Hey Martin's bike? What's the
he
Frenchman
wants
there,
Pecco's bike.
Zarco?
He wants Pecco's bike. Come on.
Well, yeah, but think about this for a second, right? Ducati's not going to give Pecco um, bike to Marquez if Bezecchi wants it,
Right.
right? It's just because Bezecchi should have got the Pramac team and he took one for the team, so Morbidelli can be on, which is I would be curious to talk to Rossi about that, or maybe somebody will ask him about it because realistically. Morbidelli could have just gone to Rossi's team, right? But I think I know it's kind of like seniority type of thing. Probably is what happened, and Morbidelli was just there longer, so I believe that's probably what happened. But in reality, Bezecchi probably should have gone to Pramac, and Morbidelli probably should have gone to Rossi's team. But I think the seniority is what swapped it around. So that's a big. That's a hopefully it works out for Bezecchi in the end because MotoGP as well. Even though it is a family, it is very cutthroat.
Oh yeah. Yeah, hope he, like I said, hope he has a much better year this year. He's pretty close. What is he, third runner up last year? Bezecchi?
Yeah, yep.
So,
So,
I
so
mean,
to
yeah,
be,
he's.
go ahead.
I was gonna say he's another one that's just gonna be ready to contend. So, but hopefully, he gets a choice of what bike he wants to ride.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, so what? In a couple of weeks, man. Definitely looking forward to World Superbike, MotoGP. Sounds like let's switch over to World Superbike a little bit. Sounds like Batista is hurt. He's still recovering. It looks like Top Rock is ready. It looks like BMW could be a top four bike this year, based on what's
Well, I
going on
heard
so
that
far.
I heard that they had four of their bikes in top 10.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So that's pretty good. And my guy Garrett Gerloff. So
yeah. I'm
good
rooting
to
for.
see him in
I'm
top
I'm
10.
I'm rooting for Gerloff for real. I'm definitely rooting for him. I'm still rooting for Scott Redden. I'm a big Scott Redden fan because he was in MotoGP at age 15. Like think
I
about that
mean,
for a
wait,
second.
Moto 3 or
No, no, no. MotoGP.
is- oh, before there was an age limit?
Yeah, I don't know if there's an age limit in MotoGP, but he,
Oh,
he he was in at a very young age. You know what I'm saying? And so you have to keep that in mind. Like Miller, remember Jack Miller skipped Moto 2, right? And went to straight to MotoGP too. So you know he's I mean, so I don't want to say he's like he's Sean Kemp or one of these guys who you think about go straight to the NBA is out of high school, but so I'm rooting for him, and he had I don't think he got there. When he went to Aprilia was still a bad bike, and that was unfortunate because he didn't last, and he was still relatively. I mean, he was like 28, I think, or 27, 28 when he left MotoGP. And he was already in MotoGP for 10 years or whatever the case may be. So he was give or take. Don't hold me to the numbers. But I'm rooting for him. So I hope he does well. He is the oldest BMW rider, as he said, and so we'll see what happens. But no buts. It seems like BMW has a good chance. So I suspect Yamaha and Kawasaki should be a little bit worried about that. I don't think Ducati has to worry about that though.
you think Alvaro Bautista is not saying throwing the white flag in, but just saying that how he's not feeling well right now is kind of an excuse
Nah,
if season
he,
go well for him,
he has to get used to carrying that big girl around now because got a little bit more weight than what he used to.
right? Yeah, like we mentioned on the last episode, we mentioned a few rules that have changed and things they've added, but yeah, they've added more rules like the weight and fuel reduction and all that stuff. So
Right, yeah. So I think he has to work that out. He's injured. He's a MotoGP. I'm not knocking World Superbike rider when I say he's a MotoGP rider, uh, but he's a MotoGP rider, and that's the
yeah,
top class. And he's there's other Tito. There's other riders that's left MotoGP and gone to World Superbike and hasn't done what Alvarez done. I think the closest person was Scott Redding when he went to Ducati. I don't know what happened towards the end of the season with him and so forth, or whatever the case may be. But he had a good shot, and Scott Redding won BSB on a Ducati, so that's how he got the factory seat on the World Superbike. So you will see. I think that he's still the person to beat. You're a double world champion. You're the guy to beat regardless. So, and you know that bike well, and the guy can ride.
Ducati going for a three-peat, MotoGP
And
and World Superbike.
I can't see why they wouldn't be.
I
I
mean, they have the
mean,
chance, so
that's a big deal, right? And I know if Yamaha, well, Honda hasn't won World Superbike in I don't know when last time. It's been a while. Maybe Colin Edwards down, but back then. I believe he might have won World Superbike, or he's won some races on Honda. But it's this is new for Ducati to have two titles in World Superbike, two titles in MotoGP back to back. This like the Patriots in the early days of Tom Brady. This is really new, and I think some people are acting like it's Michael Jordan 6 rings, or did Tom Brady after he retired with the amount of rings and the dominance that they've had. It's or maybe they're afraid to see that happen because it's possible, but this is still new for Ducati, and they're already getting hit over the head, and they haven't had a chance to really dominate yet, right? So yeah, if they get a three-peat on each one, I the only hard thing is going to be for Ducati is how they're going to get people to afford the bikes, because they're going to have more people wanting to ride Ducatis.
well, that's what I'm saying. Like they're gonna, if even if they do get a three-peat, they're gonna be like, all right, are we gonna get our local sales gonna go up? I'm sure it will,
Oh
but
yeah, yeah. Come on,
you know,
you listen. I was at, and we might as well just segue into it. My track over the weekend. There some Ducatis in the paddock. And I was talking to a guy I pitted with, and I don't, you know, people are spending a lot of money on race bikes, and they're doing club racing, and it's Ducatis, so it's already there. You know what I'm saying? It's already there.
oh yeah, they're there.
So it's
I've been to a Josh Harris track day, the Ducati Warhorse track day.
yeah,
And I brought, my R6. So I didn't have a Ducati, but it was nothing but Ducatis
yeah.
there. I mean,
So
probably about 50 plus.
yeah, so it's already there. They're like people, there's people who can afford to do it, and they're doing it. And I think that the fact that Honda and Yamaha and Kawasaki has just raised their prices to get within reaching distance of Ducati is kind. I mean, you can still get a $17,000, $18,000 Yamaha, Honda, and so forth, right? But their top of the line bike is over $25,000. So it's pushing there. Granted, Ducati's pushing in the 40s now, and
Yeah. I'm just
I like 911s, man. You know what I'm saying?
I'm just mad that when you buy Ducati, as soon as you leave, like you might as well cut the price in half because you can't sell it for the same price. That's
I will
I mean,
disagree with you
possibly,
there.
but
Yeah, I don't
that's
know.
the only thing I don't like.
I think that you might lose some money, but I find that people are charging ridiculous amount of money still for their bikes, and so I suspect if you buy a Ducati and a month later you want to sell it, you might lose some money. But there's still people. I see people still asking for 23 grand for bikes with mileage on it, and I'm less, and and I'm a little concerned at that. But that's always been that way for a little bit. I think that if you look at all the, I can speak about the U.S. I can't speak about Europe. If you look at the used market, bikes don't drop below a certain price. You know what I'm
Yeah, that's
saying?
true.
It's kind of like, how is this bike 10 years old and it's 2 grand cheaper than a brand new bike? So I agree with you that it should drop, but when people are selling these bikes, they're still listing them pretty close to sale prices. And, that needs to change because I'm not going to go buy a bike with miles on it, for I don't know, for a grand less than a brand new bike. And I don't know you or what you've done to that bike.
Yeah, I'm sure I love riding a Ducati, but at the same time, even a used one, I ride a Gixxer 1000. So um, for what I got it for, I'm sure I can still sell it and not lose as much money as if I just bought a brand new Ducati and try to sell it. So
Oh
I would
yeah,
love
yeah,
to
yeah.
ride a Ducati, especially how they are improving their motorcycles these days, and it's just hopefully they can make it more affordable to the public.
That's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. I wish it would too. I really do, but it's not gonna happen. Um, I think that you know they're they are a boutique brand, but they're now turning
One thing
into
that does sound
a different kind of brand. They're trying to become like Honda, and because Honda is the benchmark. Honda is making money hand over fist. Like that. They sell the most motorcycles, I believe. So and they make everything not besides motorcycles. So I think that's what they're trying to do, and you kind of see Triumph doing the same thing because they want more market share, right? But it's hard to do when you're still building bikes by hand and you're still delivering that quality that you're doing. So that makes it very hard. But I think that in this day and age, a 45,000 Ducati, people are buying it. Don't ask me where they're getting the money from. Don't ask me who they are, but they're buying them. There are people buying the 30 grand, 31 grand B4S, no problem. And then they still drop in money into it to do exhaust and whatever else they're doing. Um, and
yeah.
maybe that's just the lifestyle we're used to today. That it's you just living the dream. I don't know. I have a couple of Ducatis, so I'm not. I can't talk too much. Full disclosure, but I think that I will say this: if money was no option, forget money. You just got to ride the bike. I think when you ride a Ducati and you ride other bikes, your heart's going to tell you one thing. Your wallet might tell you something else. And I've ridden a few bikes. You know what I'm saying? And so it's really hard to explain, until you do it. So I've always offered you to come and ride a Ducati. So come on down, ride one since you haven't ridden one. Because after you do, you'll see you'll see why people like it as much. I mean, people may not like it if they have to pay to fix it, and to pay to purchase it. But when you ride it,
Fix it how many times though?
I don't know. I've been fortunate. I've heard some stories about people complaining about fixing Ducatis or whatever. I say this, right. If you maintain your motorcycles, if you maintain whatever things you have, they're not going to break down as much as if you don't maintain them.
That is,
You know what
I
I'm
agree to
saying?
that.
And so I would tell a guy this. So my first Ducati was a Street Fighter. Did exhaust, full exhaust. Did a slipper clutch. I probably put like you know 10, 15 grand into that bike. And what I realized after doing that is, I can buy more bikes instead of doing that. So I really don't modify my Ducatis that much at all, really. Probably mirrors and things that make it just more useful. And then, I go buy other bikes. So you know what I mean. That's just me because it is. Yeah, you're gonna spend a lot of money. Doing that compared to like a Honda or a Yamaha or something like that. You're gonna spend that kind of money, but it's gonna be good parts. It's gonna, I can't complain about the parts that I have purchased other than the price. So that'll be my one complaint. Yeah, the intervals on the older bikes, were a lot closer, but these new bikes, it's not that bad.
Yeah. Well, who am I kidding anyway? Saying Ducati's going to drop their prices.
Right.
Of course, if you're the best, your price goes up.
Yeah,
So
exactly. And
Ducati's about to be worth more than they are now. So,
right, and
uh,
no one is
of
dropping their prices.
course.
So yeah, and last but not least, let me jump into my weekend.
Oh,
So
before you do that, sorry to cut you off. I lost it, but World Superbike is adding another track to their calendar.
what is it?
That's
Argentina?
they should, right? And then there's two brand new venues, Bolton Park and
Mm,
Cremona. So I mean, I've seen those circuits, but I just like new tracks. That's
yeah,
just some more news for World Superbikes. Now they got the weight, new tracks, and their grids changing where they have like the top nine
right.
um,
I did hear about that as well.
past the time. So
Yeah,
yeah, they're starting really soon. I'm gonna say February. Yeah, really soon before MotoGP.
nice,
But
nice.
yeah, wanted to get that out there.
Yeah. So my weekend. This year I'm racing the Pan American Series. I think it's based out of Florida. We get to go to New Orleans, I believe Barbara, Talladega, Roebling, some other tracks. But my first round was in Homestead in South Miami. Different series than I'm used to. They do practice and qualifying on Saturdays. Races are on Sundays. The top three riders in every class get paid, which is kind of cool compared to some of these other clubs. So that's pretty cool. Uh, there's less racing as far as the mono race, but I guess on Saturday you get more practice time. So
So they got to set up like a league. I mean, obviously it's a league, but compared to like a club racing, it's more
yeah,
like a league.
I think it's they follow a lot of the European rules. So there's that. It's similar to MotoGP in the sense that up until the sprint races were only on Sunday, practice and qualifying on Saturday, type of thing. So it's different. I'm still learning it. My first time, I will say I had a great time. It rained on Sunday, which was unfortunate. Um, but it wasn't too bad of a weekend. Uh, I will say this, right? Shout out to Sergio, shout out to Jim, because so my first race of the day, we started the race. It's like a 10 lap race, and 1.5 lap into it, they red flag it because it's raining. It started raining, and I had to go back. I'm on my KTM. I had rain tires, but I didn't. I had to. So we had like 10 minutes or so to change tires before we can start. I was able to change the rear because I had a rear rim with this rain tire on it, but my front rim I had to take off the slick and mount the rain tire to, which is not something I do. So somebody else had to do that, and so it was very hectic. And uh, in the past, it's one of those things like I probably would have just said whatever because I did that in NC bike because I probably had similar times in NC bike, and I just didn't do it, and and this time I was like, let me just try. All the stars aligned. I was able to get on the bike, get out. I got out with enough time to at least start the race from pit from pit lane. So that was the
Just made
first
it
for
out there.
me. Yeah, I got out there. And it's downpour. I have the video. We're gonna edit it and get it posted in a little bit and stuff. But I will say this: we did 8 laps, about 28 riders. I finished fifth overall and third in my class, and that's from pit lane. And it was one of those things like, and I shout out to Sergio and these guys because I've seen them in the past. They got their suits on, parts broken or something's happened, and they're just trying to get through. And that experience, and I have another bike you can kind of see behind a little bit, that I should have brought. I didn't bring it, but I wouldn't have gone through that experience of just trying to get back out there and doing everything possible to do that. Because like that experience is just like, hey, anything is possible.
Yeah.
Anything is possible. So, and to be able to get on the podium, and
Congrats on
and
that.
and the past, 20 something other riders. I was in last place.
Yeah. But I mean, that's like you said, that's a whole nother thing because like you're setting yourself up for mentally having a lot of mistakes or to make a mistake.
Right.
Just rushing around trying to get finished within a time frame, scrambling around if you were by yourself doing it. So it's
Exactly.
cool
And
that, Jim and Sergio were there. They
no,
probably
no,
threw you
no,
in a
no,
ball of
no, no, no,
fire
no,
too.
no, no. They weren't here. They weren't there. But I've seen them at other racetracks do that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But no, 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 they weren't there to help. But no, it is one of those things. Like it is, and I didn't think about that. Like, did I tighten the bolts enough, or whatever the case may be? Because there's a lot of different million parts moving in that moment, and I'm dependent on someone else to change my front, to take the tire off, mount it, balance the tire, and get it back to me. He also has to tell other people who are waiting for tires to say, "Do you mind, this guy jumping in because he got a race that's about to start in a few minutes." So all those things had to
Right.
happen, and have other riders be like, "Okay, cool, right?" So it could have been
Got it.
different if one person said, "No, I got to go," right? So all those align, and then to be able to get on a podium.
Yeah.
um, Definitely was a good weekend. Overall, it was a good weekend. My second race, I finished fourth place. Battled with some guys in there. Overall, I had a fun. Overall, I had fun. It's a pretty cool series so far, and I'm probably going to miss the next round, which is in New Orleans. Apparently, the track has been resurfaced. It sounds like a track that I'm going to want to get to one day because it does sound like it's pretty fun. But it's so far so good, and
How many races do you have in the series?
as how many riders or how many
How many
weekends?
rounds? How many
I
rounds?
believe they're 10 rounds, give or take. I'd have to look
Okay.
at the calendar again. So it's a pretty good series.
Okay. So you
Uh,
got that, like
yeah, yeah. Oh, I got some time. And the main reason for me just being down here, it's just the drive. I just the drive. That's all it is. Because it's not as far, and it's also I get to race at some new tracks this year. So hopefully I'll add at least 3 new tracks to the repertoire if everything works out. But it's pretty cool. I will say this: I do like how registration is. You can register up until I guess 5 minutes before a race starts to a race. So if you didn't sign up, so there's no like, oh, registration closed at 9 and that's it for the rest of the day. It's like, hey, just give us enough time to print out a sheet and you can get on the grid, and that type of thing.
how
So
easy is it to check the grid? Is
it's
it
all
easy to like check
online.
the grid?
It's
Huh?
Everything's online. Everything's
Okay, so that's good because
yeah.
like we would have to run
Mm-hmm.
to
Yep.
the media center to check our grid positions when they say, "Uh oh, grids have changed." Like, God
Right.
damn it!
Yeah. Yeah.
So like
No.
5 minutes before, you got to. There's gonna be a
Right.
long line checking that. So that's
And
good. It's online.
yeah, and they still do printout as well, but like
Okay.
it's the navigation of it all. It's pretty straightforward. It's pretty easy. It's easy to check your results. It's easy to it's just intuitive, and that's the cool part. So kudos for them for doing that. I know other series are trying to do it and trying to get it work. Technology can be difficult at times, so I do get that, but they've figured that part of it out. Trust me, there's things that could be different. I'm not it's too soon to sit here and pick on them for sure. But
Mm.
my experience with other clubs, yeah, there's some things that could be a little bit different. But that's with anything. Nothing's going to be perfect. Uh, at the end of the day, it's it's still all like most clubs, safety first. Being responsible for yourself and others and all that stuff is all there. I think the thing, I'm not letting any clubs or anyone off, but nothing's going to be perfect. But I don't have enough information to sit here and be like, oh well, they should do this or do that because they are doing a lot of cool things.
I'm just more appreciative that I have somewhere that I can push the limits on the bike. So the fact that the track will be open, obviously a lot of people can improve on things. So
Exactly, and they've been around for 8 years now, so they've been doing this for a little bit. And I will say this: this is the one thing that's cool. They did give out beers if you got a podium. So as you're
hey,
walking up, you get your trophy and you got a beer. It's not quite champagne, but that's pretty cool, right? Because that was pretty cool for them to do
they're
because you
more
do.
rewarded.
Yeah, what it is. You get to crack something open, take a quick sip or whatever, and because it is club racing, right? It's and you know, for folks like myself, I'm just there to have fun. But they're young kids that are hoping to go as far as the universe lets them go. So for them to have a place to go and see that and build off of that, that's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. I like that. I actually like the little podium setup they had there. I saw one of the pictures.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty
No,
cool.
it's like I said, it definitely feels the part. And that's the cool part about it. Is it cheap? No, it's not. It's not cheap.
That's
So,
not-
but are you getting what you're paying for? I believe you are. You know what I'm saying? I think that what I've heard from other riders complain about and stuff like that. You may pay a little bit more money here, but you're getting what you paid for. So, and that's all you
that's
can
all
really
good.
ask. You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of places that probably charge more, but it's motorcycle racing, and it's not a cheap sport.
No, not at all. I mean, like I said, had to cut a couple of bills out just to maintain everything, but I love
Exactly. So,
it.
so I'm looking forward to the next round, which for me probably is going to be April. Well, April. I'm probably gonna try to do CCS or ASRA in April because I think their next round that I can make is in May for the Pan American Series. But no, there's a lot of fast people, so I'm definitely looking forward to that.
My first round starts in the end of April for Neymar, and then obviously before that, I'm gonna try to bring my bike out to get a little seat time before then. But can't wait.
But listen, man, hey, throw it in the back of that truck and just drive to your closest racetrack. Larry, man, I would like to shout out the sponsors. This year, we're keeping it simple. Shout out to Hamden Yard. Shout out to Workbench Tech for sponsorship. This year, we do, well, this year I have a race team, so 14P race team this year. So very excited about
Hey,
that. Still got some exciting news coming that we're gonna share before the end of this month. So excited about that. Keep it locked on B4evaKool on all the platforms. Check out our trivia. We have a monthly trivia that's a giveaway. This one is a pretty cool one. We're gonna release it this week. You have a whole month now. Give some people some more time, and we have some cool merch. So definitely, it's free to comment to answer the trivia, and then if you're right, you get something in the mail. That's not too bad.
that sounds good.
Yeah,
Sounds great,
we,
actually.
we, we like we like
Mhm.
free stuff, right?
Yeah, I know.
Like and subscribe on YouTube on all the platforms. Shout out to all the folks that are watching our videos and commenting and telling us how good of a job we're doing and keep it up and all that stuff. We definitely appreciate that. So definitely like and subscribe. TJ, you want to shout out your sponsors?
Well, yeah, official Vortex. Appreciate all the support and all the support from Woodcraft Technologies, Hideaway Rentals, and J&G Performance.
No doubt.
I always get my bike serviced for years.
No doubt. So we're gonna be back with more content soon. My name is Rex45.
My name is TJ with Two Wheels and Coffee.
Peace.
Peace.